Hi everyone, how are you doing? Professor Lady here, also known as Dr. Stephanie Bosco-Ruggiero, co-author of Adopting Older Children. Welcome to the Adopting Older Children podcast on Professor Lady. I had the pleasure of co-authoring this guide for the public with expert in adoption, Professor Emeritus from Case Western University, Dr. Victor Groza, licensed mental health counselor Gloria Russo Wessel, and I myself have a PhD in social work from Fordham University. So today I want to talk about the process of adoption, repeat a little bit about your agency choices, and a little bit about support that you will receive as you go through the process of adopting an older child. So you have to start, obviously, by deciding if you want to adopt domestically or do an inter-country adoption. So when you adopt domestically, you're going to be working with your public child welfare agency. It may be city agency, county, or state with local offices. So do a little research about that, about where the public agency is and how to get in contact with them. Look at their website, read up on all of their programming, services, and information. Intercountry adoption, you're going to need a private adoption agency. And you want to make sure that the countries from which you're adopting are part of what is called the Hague Adoption Convention. They follow international regulations around adoption. So you will learn all about this from your private agency. You have to find a private agency that does older child adoption from the country of your choice. Now, domestic older child adoption, you can also work with a private agency. But you'll be working with the public child agency as well because they have jurisdiction over the process. Children are in their care because they're in foster care and they're legally free to be adopted. So even if you work with a private agency, you're going to be interfacing to a certain extent with the public child welfare agency. But the benefits that a private agency can offer you is certain educational value, knowledge, post-adoption services, and support. So you want to research and talk to people before choosing a private agency. Some private agencies that I would suggest you look at to start are Spence Chapin, Family Focus, Bethany Christian Services, and You Gotta Believe. Now, some of those are more New York area focused, but I know for a fact Bethany Christian Services is national, does national and international adoptions. You Gotta Believe is based on Long Island. I don't know if they only do New York adoptions or beyond, but they are an amazing, amazing agency. And by the way, the thumbnail that I have for this video is the Tolles family. Mr. Tolles is a single father, and he ended up adopting, I believe it's 7 boys. I have their story as a video, as a post on my site. Check it out. The Tolles family is such an inspiration. These kids were lost. They were free for adoption. They were in foster care. They were not doing well. Mr. Tolles brought them all together, formed a family. They have brothers. They have a dad. It's like the older child adoption family poster story. So learn about them. And the other site and resource you want to consult is Adopt Us Kids. You will find everything you need to know about older child adoption on Adopt Us Kids, which is a federally funded service and website. And they can connect you to your local child welfare agency. They feature children, actual children, their pictures and their profiles that are available for adoption, and they have all kind of resources and information. It is an excellent place to start. Now, when you actually begin the process, know that you will have to do a course. In New York State, it used to be called MAPS, and maybe it's called something else. It's typically in person, but I think during the pandemic, some agencies started to offer this foster parenting, adoptive parenting training online, which I think is important because when it's in person, you have to find babysitter for your younger children. So you have to go through the course. You have to become certified to be a foster parent or an adoptive parent through the public system. Private agency may have their own version of the course. I'm not quite 100% sure, but you might have to end up taking the public course. It's usually 12 to 15 sessions. It's pretty intensive, and it's important. And you learn about child trauma. You learn about the process of adopting. You learn about the process of introducing siblings to your new child, everything about the process and about challenges that your adopted child will have, just because they've been in foster care, their parents' rights have been terminated. Look, they've been through a lot. So you're going to learn all about that, and you're going to meet other adoptive parents. Then the other thing to know about the process is you're going to have a home study. You're going to have the social worker from the private agency or the public agency come to your home a couple of times, check out your home, make sure that you have room for a child, talk to you at your house, and they're just checking everything out. They're vetting you. They're vetting you as a parent, as a new parent. Are you suitable to adopt a child who has been in foster care, who is legally free? They don't want just anyone adopting. If you're not prepared in some way, they'll support you to become prepared, or in some cases, I guess they reject you, but I think that would be rare because people interested in older child adoption hopefully have educated themselves and they're getting ready for it. So that's part of the process. Also part of the process is visits to the social worker at the private agency and or the public agency, and you're going to be doing a whole application process, which is going to be a written process. You're going to write about yourself, write about your family, write about your dreams for creating a family, write about your family history. Some of it's fun. It's a self-study. And you're going to probably have to get letters of recommendation. Now, while you're doing this, you're doing all this, you're doing your search. You're looking into what older children are available to be adopted. And you may be a foster adopt parent, which means you're going to foster first. And the child, if they become legally free, you have first priority to adopt them, other than if there's a relative, I would say. The other path is you don't foster and you adopt directly a child who's legally free for adoption, who can come into your home right away. There may be a period where they're there before you legally adopt them, but you're not fostering them. There's no chance that their parents their biological parents are going to get those rights reinstated. They're legally free. Whereas if you foster, there is the chance that they will go back to their biological parents. If those parents follow a treatment plan, they address the issues that cause the child to be removed from the home, which could be substance misuse, neglect, some kind of abuse, unfortunately. Most of the time, it's going to be some kind of neglect. So they need to get treatment. They need to get support and services. If poverty is causing a situation of neglect where the child isn't getting enough food, not going to school, they're endangered in some way. So if the child is legally free and you adopt a child that way, you're not fostering them, you want to start by doing a couple of things, and you'll talk to the agency about this. You want to introduce the children you already have, if you have any, to the child, get them to know each other. You will probably start having slow visits with the child overnight. So short visits to start. Maybe you do something fun in the community, and then they start to become overnight visits. So it's a gradual process for the child. They're not just coming home with you, just met you, and it's like, okay, meet mommy and daddy. It's instant. That's too abrupt. So there's going to be a process. You want to prepare your extended family and your parents, your siblings, for the fact that you're adopting an older child. You're going to educate them about what that is, and you're going to tell them to educate themselves. You're going to tell them to educate themselves about the child's culture as well. And you are going to prepare in that way as well. So the agency and the social worker is going to help you with all of these preparations. So I want to talk just a little bit about now services and financial support you should expect to receive during the adoption process and after. Whether it's a private agency, public agency, they should have an array of supports and services for you. That includes the preparation to adopt, and of course, the adoption process itself, walking you through that, but also post-adoption services. And you want to make sure that you ask about that, you find out what the agency has to offer. They may refer you to post-adoption services, or you may get it directly from the agency. There is an organization called CASE, C-A-S-E, wonderful organization that provides adoption competent counseling and post-adoption support to adoptive families. Now, they're based in Washington. I think they do more in that area, Washington, D.C., that is. I think they do more in that area, but they have this whole network of counselors who are adoption competent. They have a training program, so you can look up which counselors are in your area that are adoption competent and certified through CASE. Again, C-A-S-E. You are not going to be spending a lot of money, if at all, with older child adoption, in contrast to infant adoption. You may even be entitled to monthly stipends, depending on whether you're foster adopt or direct adoption, after the child is legally free. So you want to ask about that. The child will mostly have Medicaid for health care, and you can, of course, supplement that with your own private health care if you have it. And there is a federal adoption tax credit. Max is about $15,000 annually, but you must owe taxes to benefit from that because it is a tax credit. Other things you want to ask about in terms of supports, post-adoption supports, is respite care, which is if you have a child with special needs, you get respite care. You're entitled to this for free, which is a trained caregiver who will watch your child for a weekend or for a couple hours while you go about doing your tasks, your chores for the day, running to the store. If you're stressed with the child's needs at the moment, they're there to support you and give you some time to yourself. Um, you should also be connected with a network of family counselors, counselors for yourself, all adoption competent, parent support groups, coaching, parent training, all of that for post adoption. So you want to ask about all of these things when you're choosing a private agency, if you want to do the private agency route. But you don't have to work with a private agency. You can work only and directly with the public agency. Now, the difference between one of the important differences between the two is the public agency is going to help you adopt a local child or maybe within that state, whereas a private agency can give you broader information about children who are available across the country. So they're connected to all of the adoption networks across the country. Public agency is probably more limited in being able to do that. But there's interstate compacts for adoption. It gets a little more complicated with a public agency when you're adopting from a different state. Private agency can perhaps facilitate that process a little bit better. So that's a bit about the process, what to expect. And in the next couple of videos, I'm going to talk about the process, a little bit more of meeting your child, getting them used to your family, what to expect during the immediate post-adoption period. And also we're going to have a whole bunch of videos about behaviors, challenges that are common to older children who are being adopted due to trauma they've experienced. Having that bond, no matter how dysfunctional, I guess, severed with their biological family, and perhaps being in foster homes that were not as nurturing as they should have been. So there's a lot that the child has gone through. We'll talk about that. One more thing about the process that you might want to ask about as you are meeting with your caseworker is, of course, the legal aspects. And you want to ask if you have to hire your own lawyer. Most likely you will. If you have to find that lawyer yourself, what support that they provide legally, what the legal process is of adopting your child. So, of course, the legal aspect is important. Okay, so please in the comments ask questions in these videos so I can answer those questions in the comments, and also note things that maybe I haven't covered so far in the videos that you want to know about. And if there's a lot of interest, maybe we can have a live stream one day and we can have live chats. So again, congratulations for thinking about adoption and older child adoption. I look forward to seeing you in the next video of the Older Child Adoption Podcast. Professor Lady signing off. Have a wonderful week.